Okay, well, welcome to Home Group tonight. And we're going to be looking tonight at what Jesus says to the church in Pergamum or Pergamos. Some translations say in Revelation chapter 2, and we're in verses 12 to 17 tonight. And as we've seen already in many of these letters to the seven churches in Revelation, it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag tonight, because the church on the one hand is going to be commended by Jesus in the first couple of verses, and then almost immediately on the back of that, the church is going to be chastised by Jesus in the next couple of verses. And so we've got to wrestle with the fact that in the same church, really, there are some amazing things that are going on, some really good things. But at the same time, there are some real struggles, some real battles, and not all of which are being won. And I think commentators are of generally of one mind, really, but a bit harsh in one sense, because Pergamos has been called many things by the commentators over the years. The church there has been called the faltering church, the worldly church, the too free church. Sorry about that if you've got a soft spot for the free church. But you'll see why commentators have said that when you dig into the passage tonight. Some have called the Pergamos church the church of indiscriminate toleration. Others the church in compromise, and still others the church infiltrated. And so we're going to have to wrestle with a bit of the what and the why of all the struggles that this church is having, but also maybe leading us to a bit of healthy introspection in our own lives and our own church as well. But there's also a commendation here, and you can't miss that in the middle of all the struggle and even compromise, really, in some areas. These guys still don't abandon their faith, and God massively commends them for that. Faith is such a significant thing, even in the midst of our own humanness and our own struggles. And so a bit of a gutsy church here in Pergamos. And so just to set us up for the study tonight, I'm going to let you do the study, so I'm not going to give you a commentary on the passage tonight, but just to set us up for the study tonight, let me give you just a little bit of information about Pergamos that might help a bit in getting the most out of what's going on here as we read. First of all, Pergamos was an exceptional city in the Roman province, the ancient Roman province of Asia. In fact, it was the capital city of the province for almost 250 years. And so no insignificant place is Pergamos. There's a whole lot happening here of real substance in this city. Another interesting thing to know is that the word Pergamos means married. And so you're going to need to think about how that might have some significance to what John writes here to this church as you read through the passage and think about it tonight. One of the things that's really significant about Pergamos is that in its time, it was the most influential center of emperor worship anywhere in the Roman province of Asia. And so what impact might that have on the mission and the condition of the church here? You're going to have to think about that. Another interesting fact about Pergamos is that even though it's not built on any of the great roads or intersections of the ancient Roman Empire, it is still one of the greatest cultural centers anywhere in the world at this time. And so what might that mean for the mission of the church here? Maybe even the struggles of the church here in Pergamos. And then finally, just a bit of background information as you read. One is that we have no idea who Antipas was. and he's mentioned in the early part of this passage, other than what the text says about him being a faithful martyr of Jesus. So don't spend too much time trying to figure out who he is, but maybe think a little bit about what it means in the context of a church like this, at a time like this, to actually give your life for Christ. Second, you can read a bit about the prophet Balaam in Numbers 22 to 25, but I think you'll find enough information in the text to get the gist of what Jesus is saying here about his influence on the church here in Pergamos. And then finally, you might remember when we looked at the first church in Revelation 2, the first of the letters, which was written to the church of, anybody remember? The church of Ephesus. You might remember that one of the things that Karen pointed out was this group called the Nicolaitans, that we really don't know much about other than what the name means. It means conqueror of the people, or conqueror of the laity, or victory over the laity. But I think what you'll find interesting tonight is that while the church in Ephesus didn't follow the teachings of the Nicolaitans, the church in Pergamos unfortunately did. And you might just want to play around a bit with the idea of what it might mean to fall prey to the doctrine of the conquerors of the laity, and how that might have been had such a disastrous impact on the gospel life of these early Christians. So just a thought there to maybe consider as you go through the questions. Okay, so there you go. Your home group leaders should have some questions to get you going. Have fun, talk hard, and be blessed.